Hello everyone, this is G and I'm back with another video. I hope everyone is well. Let's get the video started off on a positive note. Yeah, get over here. RJ! RJ baby. Say hi RJ. Hello. Alright RJ, go on. Alright, so daily dose of cat. Alright, maybe special dose of cat. But today's video is going to be about, it's going to be more of a serious, real world thing. I swear to you, eventually I will be getting back to, geek media stuff. But the point of today's video is to give my opinion on what's really driving Chelsea Handler. I think that's her name, right? Chelsea Handler. She's a comedian or something to that effect. I think I've seen a few of her skits online. I personally don't find her funny. But anyway, it's come out recently online. I've seen several people make a video about it, that she says she had to remind 50 Cent that he's a black person and that because he's black, he should not vote for Trump, right? Now here's the thing. What Chelsea is saying is by no means new, right? You had Joe Biden a few months ago when he was interviewed by, I think his name is Charlemagne the God, I think that's what he calls himself. Joe Biden saying that if a black person votes Trump, or basically doesn't vote for him, which would even include someone like me, who is apolitical and not voting for anyone, right? That basically if you're not voting for him and you're African American, then you ain't black, right? A white man trying to claim the racial identity of another person, right? Or another group of people who have decided that they're not going to vote for him for whatever their personal reasons are. But there's that. There's just the attacks that black conservatives have to deal with, not just from white liberals trying to shame them and through shame try to bring them back into the fold, make them be Democrats again. Shaming a person to get what you want is never a good thing because, first of all, it's a very negative motivation, and very rarely is that change of heart sincere, right? It's compulsion instead of actual, believing that whatever party it is, right? In this case, the Democrats are the party that the person wants to support. But anyway, as I was saying, one second. So anyway, as I was saying, right? So there's what black conservatives have had to deal with, both from white liberals trying to bring them back into the fold and from the black community itself, because if you're African American, you're well aware of this, we are pretty much raised to believe that the Democrats actually care about us, right? And that the Democratic Party, is the party of the African American community, right? And this is a belief that has been held pretty much since the mid-60s, right? Because of the civil rights movement and a lot of stuff. Although, as I've said in other videos, African Americans didn't always vote majority liberal after the Civil War, because it was the Lincoln, who was a Republican, was the one who freed the slaves. African Americans, in turn, I should say, supported the Conservative Party for decades. Right, again, there's a lot of history in this. I did a video a few months back sort of diving into that history a bit. But my point is that Chelsea Handler is not new in this trying to shame black people into either staying where they are when it comes to their vote, right, voting Biden, or if they've decided not to, or they become a conservative, right, to shame them back into it, right? As I said, there was Biden. There was also Alec Baldwin. I did a video a while back on that, on his comments, right? So none of this is new. Oh, also, I remember a few months ago, Snoop Dogg, right, the well-known, famous gangster rapper, right, who really sort of, came to fame in the 1990s because of the gangster rap scene and all that, right? He put out, I think it was on Instagram, a tweet showing black conservatives such as Candace Owens and Brandon Tatum and others, and calling them coons, right? For those who may not be aware, I know I have an international audience. For those who may not be familiar with the term, the word coon in the U.S., it's a very offensive racial slur. It's basically another way of calling a black person, not just the N-word, right? Just not the right? But to also refer to them as basically a sellout, right? Because it's a term sort of to refer to the house slave or the house nigger, right? And that person was always considered the sellout. So when someone calls you a coon, they're basically calling you a sellout to the white man, right? Hey RJ, 1 second. So it's deeply offensive, and there's RJ in the background, right? So it's deeply offensive to African Americans because of this history and connotation behind the term. About the only time you can use the word coon in a positive light is actually if you're talking about the cat, a Maine Coon. But yeah, generally speaking, don't say it. don't say it. But anyhow, let me just share briefly why I think this is happening. Why this sudden attack, right, on black people who may not toe the party line, let's say, why this is happening. Because here's the thing. I think that what in this case, the far left liberal party, right, Democrat Party is afraid of, and what they're starting to see, is that they are losing the black vote, right? They're losing the black vote. They're especially losing the black youth vote because you've had several prominent black rappers, right? Kanye, who got, lambasted by black media. And this is going back to, like 2016 at least, when he said he was a Trump supporter and all this stuff. But Kanye, you have Ice Cube. I don't know if he's quite said he's going to vote Trump, but I do know that he's been critical of the empty promises, right, by the Democrat Party and their politicians, right? So there's Ice Cube, there's Kanye, there's of course now 50 Cent, right? Even I saw a while back, earlier this year, even Puffy or P Diddy, right? Whatever you want to call him. I'm old. I still remember when he was called Puffy and Puff Daddy, right? But Sean Combs, right? Even he was talking about how when it came to the promises made to Black America, that historically the Democratic Party had not really delivered, right? He was like, what are you going to do for us? So no doubt, when celebrities and politicians who have had the black vote, right, who have pretty much had it on lock for like 40 plus years, if not more, right? It's been since the 60s, right? So it's almost 40, 50 years. When they see that there's grumblings, right, in this voter bloc, right, and even prominent entertainers who are beloved and respected in the black community, who are the movers and shakers, right, and the tastemakers in the black community, when even they start coming out and saying, you haven't been delivering, what's in it for us, what's in it for our people, or you have some like 50 Cent or, as I said, 50 Cent and Kanye, right, who are saying, no, I'm not just going to, call you out and demand better. No, I'm going to go to the other side now. So in my opinion, that's what's really at its heart fueling this. I don't think it has anything to do with Chelsea Handler's personal feelings or anything like that. This, in my opinion, is a control tactic. I think the Democrats are starting to realize that, black people, or the black vote, right, is no longer as secure as it used to be. When you have these prominent artists who are beloved and respected in the black community, in particular the urban black community. Because interestingly enough, from what I've seen, African Americans who are a bit more affluent tend to vote for the conservatives anyway, regardless of what they say. Let's be honest, I highly, highly, highly doubt Oprah actually votes Dem. I don't think that she does, because Democrat positions, especially on money and business, tend to be completely antithetical to what a business person and a freaking billionaire would want, right? So for whatever she may talk about, right, however social justicey she may present herself publicly, I don't think Oprah is actually voting in that same way, right? But anyhow, the Democrat vote, right, has the black vote, I should say, for the Democrats has always been especially strong in the inner city, in the poorer areas that have a large black community, because it's always been based in this promise of we're the party of the people, we're the party of the stupid door, right? But as I was saying, the Democrats have long presented themselves as the party of the people, the party of the working class hero, right? The party of Black America, because they were the ones on its face who were supporting civil rights, right? You had Lyndon B. Johnson signing in the Civil Rights Bill of 1964 and a bunch of whole other things, right? But I think now, and you can see from how they're responding to the idea of a few black people, right, leaving and going somewhere else, they're starting to lose their grip on the black vote. So the way they're trying to keep it is through shaming you, through shaming African Americans who dare to think different, right? So now instead of literal slavery, right, now it's mental slavery, right? Now it's ownership of your loyalty, right? Right now you must show that you support the party, right? You support the party. And if you dare publicly speak out and say, no, I don't, I'm actually leaving the party, or I no longer believe in the party, or I'm going to this party, or even if you just do, hey, look, when's the party going to finally help us, right? As the old Janet Jackson song says, what have you done for me lately? Right, even that causes a panic, because in the end, it's a loss of control. That's what it is. It's, in my opinion, it reminds me a lot of what you see at times in emotionally abusive relationships, right? The person who's the abuser tries to control the abused by basically keeping them mentally enslaved and dependent on them. And when that person starts showing autonomy, when that person starts thinking for themselves, and thinking for themselves means going against what the abuser wants, well, what does the abuser do? The abuser just tries to stamp that, just crush that as quick as it can, right, to ensure that the person's always under their control. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of here with the way, and I want to be clear, I'm not saying all Democrats are like this, or all Democrats respond in this way, but I do believe that, especially for the far left, right, that this is what they are trying to do, especially the fact that the election is, a few weeks away, if not. That's like November 3rd, we're in late October, right? So the last thing they want is for prominent African American artists to come out and say, and tell not just the public, but tell their own individual audience, hey, I'm voting Trump, or hey, I'm not voting for anybody, or hey, I'm demanding that the Democrat Party do better and finally keep their promises toward our community. So I think that's what's fueling this, right? The sense of that they're losing control and they're trying to keep it through shame, which in the end is never, ever a good thing. It's a short-term solution that will just cause them to lose in the end, in my personal opinion, for whatever that is worth. So to me, I saw one video where the person was like, I think it was Brandon Tatum, the Officer Tatum was like, Chelsea Handler's a racist. I don't know enough about Chelsea Handler as a person to determine whether or not she's a racist. In my opinion, in this particular instance, she's actually worse than a racist. She's a tool. That, in my opinion, is completely worse. She's a tool. She's being used. She's being used by her handlers, whoever they may be, like people in Hollywood, people in politics or whatever. She's being used to try to keep another person in line, right? Sadly, America more and more has gone from being the land of the free to being the land of the free so long as you think the way I want you to. And the moment you do, well then, the moment you step out of line, we're going to, shame you for that. And that's not true freedom. When you do that, you're not respecting a person's right to free will and autonomy and self-determination and anything else, right? Freedom of that sort, right? Freedom of expression so long as you express the right things. It's not freedom at all. It's a farce. It's a lie. And that's currently, unfortunately, what we're living under, right? So, as you guys know, if there's one thing I am not, I'm a lot of things. I'm grumpy, I'm opinionated, but I am not a liar. And I'm not going to support something I don't believe in or say things that I don't mean. You may disagree, you may agree, you might be somewhere in the middle, but I can tell you this much, that if nothing else, I will always be honest with you. Even if my opinion is wrong, even if my views or findings or opinions are completely off base, at the very least, they are mine. And there's one thing I've long believed in. It's that I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees, right? So for whatever that's worth, that's what I think. So it's like, I think that however you plan to vote, again, I don't like politics or politicians, but whatever you decide to do is up to you. The point of my channel is not to try to influence you in that way. I do my best to try to respect the person's right to act opposite or believe opposite of what I do. So what you do is what you do. What I don't do, in this case, is what I don't do. But whatever it is, just make sure that you're being true to yourself, right? As the saying goes, to thine own self be true. And yes, I know it actually does mean something a bit different in Hamlet, but let's try to go with the more positive message of, be yourself, right? Be yourself. And whatever it is you're doing, make sure that it is true to yourself and to who you are and to what you want, right? If you're gonna be anything, be honest. But right, in honor of Chelsea Handler, let me close this video with a little ditty from Green Day, from back in the day, right? Are you caught up in a world that's been planned out for you? Are you feeling like a social tool without a use? Scream at me until my ears bleed. I'm taking heed just for you. But anyway, that's the video. Please let me know what you think, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have a good day.